Well, Christ on a stick, I guess there is a God.
The story of college students adopting a turtle and learning to hate themselves. Episode 1. Wait, they're the good guys? A story about redeeming cult leaders is a tricky task. The writers have to balance many delicate subject matters, from child abuse and emotional manipulation to when does a crime become unforgivable. All these factors have to be taken into account, and the first scene is paramount.
I look at you, I see me, and when I look at me, I see you.
Or we can just open on a fucking musical. This is dumb, but like everything in the show that isn't its almost cancellation, secretly brilliant. Because in this short montage, we learn so much. Just yes, Grace is having a blast. She's relaxed with her most challenging choice of the day before a raid being what color knee pads she'll wear, showing that she doesn't really think of the train as being a threat. It's more of her playground. Meanwhile, Simon is busy preparing, alone, in his room, coloring action figures, showing that he is an incel. That may sound like a joke, but I am actually completely serious. Socially awkward, lacking in empathy, possessive Grace, while also being resentful of any attempt to shift his worldview. Yeah, Simon, he's a time bomb, and it's shocking that it took him till he was 18 to implode. No! These two head cases round up their preteen posse to find the source of the music. A theater car where everyone sings about love and equality, relevant ideas for the show. They aren't drenched in cynicism, meaning we must destroy it. Burning down the house and encouraging their wards to commit murder, the wanton violence gives way to your average looting. Later kids give gifts to their leaders, random trash, clothes, and slaves. In case you were wondering who's supposed to be the bad guy. Bored and needing to get the teens unsupervised, they raid the turtle car, one of the many attempts by the false conductor to rebuild her old life, but instead got turtles. These turtles symbolize... why not? Things on the train are going well till they're not, with the train suddenly moving, meaning everyone needs to get out. Grace loses her golden mask, foreshadowing her losing her identity as the leader of the Apex and becoming emotionally vulnerable, while Simon nearly dies, foreshadowing that. Also, Grace swerves to avoid a turtle, setting up her caring about turtles. The train takes off and the pyramid scheme escapes. But Grace's gear gets damaged and they're forced to walk home. Simon nearly dies again because the universe just really hates him. Episode 2. When you already know the twist, but you want to see what they do with it. Wandering to the next car, the music forest fails to impress the jaded children because being 18 means nothing. You think you know everything, but you don't. Grace packed next to no food, toothbrushes for herself, ignores Simon's needs, and playfully mocks him. It's all in good fun, when the situation allows it. Simon is crushing hard. Grace knows she can do better. They keep nearly dying and saving each other. Then they get yoinked by a gorilla and tickle tortured. Meet Tuba and Hazel. The ape is a granny, Hazel's number doesn't glow, everyone and their mother realizes she was a null, and the two idiots ignore Occam's razor, coming up with conspiracy theories for why it doesn't glow. Blaming the love child of Wheatley and Marvin for everything, these two honestly think that this guy,
so you've come to bring me the sweet release of death,
considers them a threat and is actively trying to take them out. They assume he moved the turtle car to attack them, which by that logic he could just move the mall car, dealing with all of them. And this is why they're called conspiracy theories. Everyone conspires to ignore the obvious. Metal Sandals is trying to give his best New World sales pitch to the child, which bombs. It's up to the future kindergarten teacher to manipulate the child for them, promising her fun and friends if they come with her. They're then forced to take Tuba with them because no one tells the ape what to do, except for kids. The kids get free reign. Episode 3, dress porn. Well, guess it's time for GS to brainwash another child. 1-1 is bad, old conductor good, hype up the Apex as fun, the only thing a child would care about. They claim that children disappear when their numbers hit 0, but withhold where they go to, successfully isolating Hazel, making themselves the solution and scapegoating all their internal problems onto an authority figure. They're really good at this, like Grace has got this down to a science. but they're also telling this to an actual child, so screw them. That's the easiest demographic in the world to trick, besides My Hero fans on Twitter. Precociously British Hazel has been successfully tricked into the Apex hype, and is now willing to do anything to get into the club she's already in. The next car is a debutante ball. Giant Chandelier demands that they dress up and learn how to dance. The first big power struggle happens with Grace wanting to speedrun the car because following the rules are for other people, while the Great Ape puts her foot down, insisting that they just do the dance. It's safer and guaranteed to work. They compromise by doing both, while Simon gets kicked out of the room to let Grace and Hazel bond. Backstory gets revealed. Grace is a victim of having dance mom parents, was isolated from her peers, and played off her insecurities with fake confidence, which is exactly what she's doing now. Hooray for consistency. Hazel, on the other hand, has convenient amnesia, which is perfect for someone who is actually part of the train. Ponytail found nothing, because this room is a pocket dimension. Uncomfortable, he wants to freak out, but Grace decides to do what Hazel wants and dance out of there. Our thing Simon hates this, but his fat crush chokes out his complaints. First time is exception. Let's see how he handles it when ignoring his wishes becomes the norm. Wonderful. This whole train has been about showing Simon and Grace think that they own the train. It's their playground. So they resent having to play by its rules. Also, they're teenagers, and how else would you react? Outfits are fly though, and Grace and Hazel have grown closer. But she chooses to mark her as Apex rather than actually growing closer to her. It's a small step and can cause her number to slowly go down. Episode 4, The Cat's Booty Call Cabin. Get more bonding, this time with all 4 of them via snowball fight, combining good-natured fun with a genuine desire to hurt each other, more cute Hazel scenes.
What would I do without you?
You would die until you're dead.
Highest what? Grace realizes her number is going down. This will consume her mind for the rest of the episode, hiding it from everyone else. She doesn't want to be vulnerable nor pitied. This will bite her in the ass though, because Simon, this Yuri Lowenthal sounding motherfucker, is about to face his backstory, because the cabin contains his abusive mummy. Yep, the cat is back, and they're trapped in the cabin with her. Dude is one wrong word from having a mental breakdown, hating everything about the cat, even not letting her near Hazel. This could be seen as him becoming protective of her and maybe show that he's developing a bond with the kid, but no, he just really fucking hates the cat. Spite's a hell of a drug. Locked in a cabin with his abuser and being dismissed by his go-to emotional support, he gets reminded of his past, the good and the bad. Pissed, he starts streaming some more. Turns out the cat was his companion. She helped the little white boy for a couple months before leaving him to die with a cockroach dog, saving her own skin. No off switch and unable to control his emotions, the man-child starts yelling at Grace for being a shitty friend for ignoring his issues, which is perfectly valid. The guy isn't in the wrong on this one.
Every minute I'm in this cabin with the cat is like another weight pressing down on my chest. And you don't even seem to care.
Grace keeps her bridge from burning by talking with him about her problems, justifying her neglectful behavior. Though they don't address their actual emotional issues. They just support each other and keep ignoring them. Which works, till it doesn't. All the H2O in this car is a guy named Randall. Ending the blizzard, everyone gets to leave before anything terrible happens, like dealing with the problem. Because Simon isn't the hero of this story. But he definitely thinks he's the victim. Episode 5. The wheels on the train go. We now understand Simon's hatred of denizens. The cat abandoned him, and he has held a grudge ever since. Despite his insisting they aren't people, the cat abandoned him left an emotional scar that's never healed. And funnily enough, for someone who insists on demeaning denizens, or gnolls as he calls them, because everyone needs to invent a new slur, Simon has never once tried to invalidate the cat's existence. He never hates her for just being an NPC who abandoned him. He still sees her as a person, just a curious bit that I noticed. This also sadly explains what he does. Being re-exposed to his old trauma makes him double down on bigotry and robs Hazel of her friend, seeing it as a better alternative to being abandoned like he was. Next car involves colors and a maze. Hazel's been picking up on Simon's anti-Tuba vibes, partnering them up and hoping that it'll make them friends.
I'm stuck with Tuba?
No, I'm stuck with you.
Damn, Tuba knows what's up. Grace and Hazel get to bond some more, while Simon and Tuba develop a slightly begrudging working relationship filled with lots of spite. Simon is a spiteful child, while Tuba is lamenting her lost daughter. Working together, they're able to complete the maze and exit the car. Except, That happened way too quickly, so the story adds the cars moving out of nowhere to give us a final act. Tuba, being the motherly figure we all need in our lives, throws Hazel across the way, putting her adopted daughter over herself. Then Simon, having subversive growth, goes back for her. I say subversive because there is none. The show wanted you to think that he might change. He's a spiteful asshole. Has his reasons, sure, but again, he refuses to acknowledge any information that contradicts his worldview. He kills her, tells Hazel he killed her, then brags about it to Grace, because he's a fucking child, and doesn't see how this could ruin his relationship with the actual child he's trying to brainwash. Also, Hazel is a turtle.
I never could have seen this coming.
Episode 6, Treetop Funeral. Do you feel shitty yet? No? Let me fix that.
She died.
What if I'm really, really good? I promise I won't do anything bad, ever. Please, Grace, please.
There, now we're all sufficiently sad. Let's watch Grace walk back everything she ever said about Knowles, because now it's personal. Grace will go from Hazel is different, and then move into, oh, I've just been a shitty person. Hiding Hazel from Simon because he would absolutely throw her into the wheel. Trapped on a hiking trail with a murderer, average Tinder date hits a snag when Hazel decides to bury Tuba, but Simon...
There's no body left to bury, kid.
Simon!
I feel like all of his problems could be solved if he just learned how to communicate with people, or just stop for 1 second to think that everyone isn't him. Grace could have used this time to talk with her boy co-worker, instead opting to lie, hogging all the development for herself, while Simon continues to spiral down into an abyss of bad choices and cosplay. They hold a tree funeral, it's beautiful. Grace is forced to say nice things about Tuba to drive that one good Knoll to 2. And from there, it will continue to grow. Then it gets interrupted by a potty joke. Emotional intimacy is exhausting and terrifying. Walking to the next car, they pass their middle-aged messiah. Amelia is not happy with her groupies.
What have you kids been doing to the train cars?
Episode 7, Your Life is a Lie. Better double down. Lena Headey is here, reading lines, cashing checks, working as 1-1's assistant, because she has no idea what to do with her life, so she's fixing the train. Everyone is confused because no one knows what everyone else does. All of the recent carjackings have been Amelia trying to remove her failed experiments, which include Hazel, so any car she's in will be ejected. They don't figure this out for an episode, but I figured I'll tell you now. Showing off her huge tracts of data, Simon is in awe, but Grace is afraid to let her see Hazel, so drags them away, controlling Simon to avoid the talk that they need to have about their adopted child, lashing out at him when he starts being possessive, demanding to see her number. This is when the two's dynamics of him being the worrywart and her teasing stops being fun, making Simon sleep on a rock. Hazel is still mourning the death of her Tuba, so Grace has to help her. All this attention angers her other child, who runs all the way back to the other woman in his life to scream, rant, and demand answers without explaining what he wants. The cat sits him down, she makes excuses for leaving him, he points out she never came back. The cat makes a cop-out, saying,
I am who I am, Simon. I can't give you more than that.
Which is an absolutely awful defense when you are negatively affecting those in your life, or leaving a 10-year-old to die. Simon rants about not getting Grace. His lack of control over women is incredibly frustrating for him. The cat reminds him that Grace is her own person, number or no number, and that he's really frustrated by his control freak tendencies, making him take this personally and poisoning him to do something he shouldn't. The cat decides she owes her man baby one and gifts him with some tape creating robots to invade Grace's mind. A massive breach in trust, and he's so insecure and desperate he'll use it because his communication skills are terrible. Insisting he knows what he's doing, his confidence in uncertainty is great. Until it isn't. Episode 8, what could have been Season 4. As you know, Infinity Train Season 4 was announced Wednesday, and my pessimistic dumbass has been thoroughly dunked on in my comment sections, so please, consider my oncoming rant to be a lesson in not giving up, or more importantly, not waiting till the night before and running out of time to edit this. So please, enjoy. Open this episode with Hazel and Grace being an adorable pair. These two have formed a strong connection. Shame it's about to be ruined by a snake.
No, she's brainwashing you, Grace.
Wrong one. better. In other non-joke related news, Hazel has started to control her transformation, no longer seeing it as a terrible thing. She's accepted it as who she is. But Grace wants her to continue hiding, both from Simon and for her. Much as Grace loves Hazel, shell and all, she's terrified of losing her cool kid status, so she can only bring herself to publicly love human Hazel. Grace doesn't want to face the backlash of walking back on her lies, and pretends that this is about keeping Hazel safe. Also, Amelia's here, and I'm sobbing at the season 4 pair we could have had, as Hazel is the perfect companion for Amelia. Even more so than Grace, I think. Lita Headey here doesn't care about her number. She thinks it's so large that any progress is inconsequential. You really get the vibe that Amelia doesn't believe she'll ever get off this train, that she'll never get her number to 0, that she'll die here. Compare that to Hazel, who is optimistic and kind, that everything seems like a big deal to her. Hazel is a giant goofball who has more than a passing resemblance to Ulrich, Amelia's husband who died. Losing him is what drove her to get on the train and spend 30 years trying to recreate him. And having her secretly succeed with Hazel, to create someone that so resembles her lost love and to have her realize that she can't stay with her, that she can't keep her, it would be the emotional growth Amelia would need to get off of the train. Finally getting what she thought she wanted, to learn what she needed, to move on from her grief and accept loss. That would have been an amazing story. And we'll never see it because the show got canceled. Back to the story, Simon is here and gets wrecked by Amelia, who finally realizes that the Apex is her fan club. Former tyrant then briskly confirms that she was a conductor who took power from 1-1, walking away without explaining anything else to let Simon and Grace talk. Simon is suspicious because of the cat. Grace just wants to see how wrong she's been about everything. And to highlight how dysfunctional their relationship is, Grace butters up Simon into dropping the matter, to just trust her, burying the issue without dealing with it. Next car has Amelia explain more in depth how she was the true false conductor, and that she's been injecting her failed creations. Simon just won't stop denying all of this, even when told point blank that the car helps people work through their problems. That raising your number is the exact opposite of what you want to do, and he denies it, refusing to admit that he was wrong about anything.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Simon's immaturity is so bad that he can't even talk about things, resorting to violence, which if this just isn't the most telling thing about his personality, I don't know what is. Hazel outs herself as a turtle. Amelia realizes she made her, while failing to remake her husband. Grace ruins whatever chance she had of fixing things by denying she knew about this, then yelling at Hazel to save face. She then makes excuses to stay a little longer. Not acting how he thinks she should act, Simon decides to invade Grace's mind, learning the truth that the person he trusted, the only person he trusted, his crush, his friend, and without a restraining bone in his body, Simon jumps from 0 to cat immediately. Episode 9, Over the Deep End. Grace hasn't realized what's happened, making a flaccid attempt to keep Hazel with her. Again, she's pulling rank and attempting to reframe her actions as being what the leader should do, hiding what she wants, making it just another lie to add to the pile. Hazel says hell no, because this dick threw Tuba under a train. Grace threw her under the bus, and she has no reason to join up with any of these people. They've already shown that they'll always put themselves first. Joining up with Amelia, the two yeet themselves out of this season, never to be seen again. Grace is a mess, Simon is about to be trash. Walking through the next car, Grace has stopped seeing denizens as nulls, while Simon is treating them even worse, to spite Grace and reaffirm his own worldview. Trapping Grace in her own tape, we find out she was a lonely rich girl who mocked others to cover up her own insecurities. Restrained by her parents, she acted out by stealing from stores. She tried to confess, but her parents refused to let her and accused the guards of lying, which is where Grace's own tendencies came from. Simon is also here, watching Grace's memories, loving the Snyder cut of the conductor, except when he sees the real thing, he dismisses it, calling Grace a liar and trying to control what Grace can and can't believe. His trust issues just they're too much. But even trust issues don't cover his utter inability to deal with being wrong. Simon has to be right. He has to be in control. This isn't doubling down on bad decisions or running from guilt. This is a narcissistic personality disorder. He needs to be right. He can't handle criticism, lacks empathy, disregards other people's feelings, and is extremely entitled, both to Grace and the car. This is why kids shouldn't be brought onto interdimensional train purgatory. Leaving a young impressionable child to grow up in this environment could give anyone a personality disorder. Watching more of the past, we see the Apex's origins. How them not understanding the numbers led them to think of them as high scores, having fun on the train and assuming that was the purpose, telling tall tales that slowly developed into gospel. Everything directly built up to the apex, to Simon and Grace being who they are, to their own actions leading them to this moment. And Simon, unable to accept that he is in any way forced Grace to lie to protect Hazel, blames Grace for everything. That she made him do this. That everything is her fault, even when they made this road to hell together. And I think they're both at fault. Grace absolutely did terrible things and let the situation get this bad by lying to Simon, keeping them from having this conversation before the lies and the hurt grew too big to fix. But even understanding why Simon does what he does, the cruelty in which he responds to those around him, it just can't be forgiven. Well, that's gonna be the only thing I remember from this season. Episode 10, a cartoon tragedy. Grace, trapped in her own mind, proceeds to get ripped apart by her own self-conscious. This brutal reason you suck speech has been a long time coming. From Grace using others to protect herself from being alone. All of her mistakes, but with the bright side that acknowledging that she has a problem lets her learn to grow past it. But first, she has a white boy to fail at saving. Returning to the Apex car, which is sinisterly lit, a very fitting choice now that she isn't pretending that this whole system wasn't messed up. The child cultists now hate Grace, are calling her a void. Simon has stolen Grace's throne and isn't even pretending that this isn't a cult anymore. Complete with trying way too hard to look cool, not letting her get a word in, the man-child rants about her not being a part of the Apex, refusing to let her explain herself because she's a void, a made-up term that the white guy invented to strip a black woman of her personhood, demanding that his army of children throw her into the wheel. Thankfully, Grace is able to get out of the terrifying grip of some 12-year-olds. Finding Simon, she tries reasoning with him that they can still fix things, change the Apex, get their numbers down, but Simon
Still change.
Why would I ever want to change if I'm always right?
But Grace can't get through to him and won't blame herself or let Simon blame her for all of his decisions. Because of the millions of ways Simon could have reacted to this situation, he's the one who decided to jump to murder. A cockroach dog jumps in. They're called Gomes, which sounds like a name a child would come up with, so it fits. The thing nearly kills Grace with Simon helping, but this ain't a horror movie, and she saves herself. Even saving Simon. She doesn't know why she did it. Maybe she still cares about him. Perhaps she thinks that they both deserve another chance. But whatever her real reason, no answer wasn't what Simon wanted. And we all know what Simon does to things he doesn't want. His number consumes him. He goes from crying to laughing to cry laughing. He knows he did the wrong thing. He's trying to rationalize it and then devolves into a mental breakdown. Luckily, Grace's kindness to denizens paid off with them rescuing her, which distracts Simon long enough to die. I played this scene enough, you get the picture. Grace saved him from this thing years ago, and without her, it finally killed him. Grace is still sad about it. She mourns her friend, while the kids lacking an adult are on her side now. Sometime later, the mall cart is cleaned, setting up a fresh start. Grace doesn't want to tell the kids what to do anymore, as each of them have a very personalized problem that they need to work through, and she's now ready to admit she doesn't even understand her own issues fully. The kids are scared and aren't sure what to do next. Grace admits she doesn't have the answers. No lies, no claims to know more than anyone else, just an average scared person being honest with everyone. They don't know where they're going, or how they'll get there, but they've stopped pretending and can finally start healing. And so ends the tragedy of Simon Laurent. A boy who never grew up, the ponytail guy who wore socks with sandals. And what can you say about his story, except...